Hello, Scott Haskin here to talk about the song I Saw Three Ships, The Bringers of Death from Haunted Holiday's Deadly Christmas album. This song, I wasn't really sure what voice I wanted to use. I thought the narrator voice and the wizard voice were just not right for it. And as I wrote the dialogue to it, I started writing it in more of a poetic fashion. And there was a poem that came to mind that I read in grade school by a gentleman named Robert Service called The Cremation of Sam McGee. Don't know why they made us read this, kind of morbid for a grade schooler or a middle schooler or a high schooler. But the cadence of it always kind of stuck with me. And over the years, it's popped into my head from time to time. And I thought this would be interesting to read in that style. And so that's how I wrote the dialogue, and then I just came up with my idea of an old maritime captain voice, somebody very old who just sits there at the corner of a bar with a pipe in his mouth and just spins yarns and talks about the sea and how, unforgiving she is and that sort of thing. And so that's how that part came about, and obviously it's based on the song I Saw Three Ships. So I used bells to make it kind of feel a little bit maritime and some foghorn sounds. I also used a bit of Morse code, if you recognize it. My grandfather, that's the one thing about Morse code that I remember him teaching me. I don't know why he ever taught me a bit of Morse code. He taught me a lot of things. That was one of them. But that was the one thing I remembered was SOS. And I can even now, I can hear his voice saying it in my head, how it went. And so that's the one thing I remember. He always told me if you ever remember anything about Morse code, SOS is the thing that you want to remember. And so I did. And so I put a little bit of that in here. That was not planned. It was just something I kind of played in the middle of it. And I thought, oh, that's good. I should keep that. So I went back and reworked it a little bit. But it's really just the idea of almost like the movie The Fog. These creatures come out in the night to take away people who have sinned. And I don't remember if that's the story of the fog, just the, foggy night, maritime creatures coming out to take away people. But in this case, it's because they've sinned or they've been bad or done something that's worthy of not being pure. And of course, these people don't want to go. We all do things. If your entire life was based on one decision in one moment, that would suck, although that is something that's very real for a lot of people in life. They make a bad decision early on, and it just sets them on a path or segregates them in one way or another. So that was kind of it, and I was thinking too a little bit about the song "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald" by Gordon Lightfoot, which I love that song, and I love the mood of it. It's somewhat cheery without being cheery at the same time, because obviously it's a tough story to tell. But in the song, they talk about the maritime bell and the church and all that. And I've actually been there. I just didn't realize that was the same one that they had talked about. There's a place in Detroit called St. Mariners Church. It's down the street from, I believe, from the Renaissance Center. It was very close to, I think, Joe Louis Arena and where Cobo Hall used to be. Of course, Joe Louis Arena, I think, is gone now, too. But where those things were. And I've never been inside the church, but I've been in front of it before. And so just all those kind of maritime elements, and then putting the bells in there and the foghorn and all that, and just that patient, slow, rhythmic, dark melody type feel to the song I thought was really important. I didn't want it to be too fast or just jump in and tell the story. It needed to be slow and everybody just kind of sitting around the bar or the campfire and just leaning in to find out what happened next. That was the concept of it anyway, and I enjoy the song. I'm very proud of it. Definitely different. It's the only one in the series that I did like this out of all three albums. So, but I think it has its place, and I think it's nice to break up the two different character voices and do something a little bit different in the middle of the album. And now we're on to the next.